So this video lesson is having a look at doing some conversions between everyday objects using a specific method that we are going to use to convert between units within chemistry. So we are going to have a look at converting some numbers between units that we probably have already heard of, so units that we know, and I'm going to show you the method in which to do that. So I'm going to start with saying I have 1,200 meters, and I want to try and convert that into kilometers. So we'll start with a one-step conversion. All right, so I'm trying to convert between meters to kilometers. So I'm going to start with my value that I know. So I have 1,200 meters. And when I do this conversion, I'm going to multiply it by something called a conversion factor. A conversion factor is something that is true all the time. It's the standard conversion. And so the conversion factor will never change. So for meters to kilometers, I know that there are 1,000 meters in every kilometer. So I'm going to convert from 1 kilometer. There are 1,000 meters. Now, conversion factors can be kilometers over meters or meters over kilometers. You can put either one you want on the top. But the idea is that this is true all the time. There is always 1,000 meters in a kilometer, or 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. And the reason that I put the meters on the bottom here is because I wanted to be able to cancel it out with a unit that I had so that I end up on the top with a unit that I want. So then when I actually multiply through here, I'm going to do my 1,200 and I'm dividing it by 1,000 to turn it into kilometers. So it becomes 1.2 kilometers. Okay. I can do the same thing with lots of different units conversions. And so let's try doing one by going from days to seconds. So say I have 2 days and I want to convert that and figure out how many seconds that is. Okay. So I'm going to start with my value of 2 days. And I need to multiply it by a conversion factor. My conversion factor has to have days at the bottom. And so the first one that I'm going to do is I know that 1 day is 24 hours. Okay. Now, I know that that's going to cancel out my days. And if I just did that, I would be left with hours. But that's not the unit that I want. I want seconds. So I want to keep using conversion factors so that I can get seconds. So now I'm going to add a new conversion factor, and I know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. Okay, and that's going to allow me to cancel out my hours. Okay, if that's all I do, then I'm going to be left with minutes. But I don't want minutes, I want seconds. So I'm going to add another conversion factor. So I also know that 1 minute is 60 seconds. And that's going to allow me to cancel out my minutes. And I'll be left with this unit of seconds. So then all I have to do is multiply through. So I have my 2 days. And I'm going to multiply it by 24 hours in a day. Then I'm going to multiply it by my 60 minutes in an hour. Then I'm going to multiply it by my 60 seconds in a minute. And so I'm going to get 172,800 seconds. So in 2 days, there are 172,800 seconds. All right. I can do this with lots of different units. And so the next one I think I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I have, let's pick a number here. So I have 385 socks. And I want to know how many dozen socks. How many dozen socks is that? So I'm going to convert from having 385 socks to figure out how many dozens of socks that happens to be. So I'm going to start with my 385 socks. And I'm going to multiply by this conversion factor. Now I want dozen. So 1 dozen means 12 socks. Unless we're talking about a baker's dozen, and then it would be 13. But socks are not donuts, and so we don't want extra socks in our dozen. Not like in donuts. So then we're able to cancel out socks as our unit, and we'd be left with dozens. And so I take my 385 and divide by 12. And so 385 socks is actually 32 dozen of socks still. So it's still the same thing. But now I know that I have exactly 32 dozen socks. Okay. That's everyday conversion. So you have some practice questions to work on. Please make sure that you are using conversion factors. And with conversion factors, again, you can use, for instance, 1, or you can use 3 in a row or 2 in a row or 17 in a row if that's how many conversion factors you need to convert between your units.